Welcome back to another educational episode of the Myth-Busting Locksmith. So today we are looking at a wobbly window handle and we're going to replace this. Now before you go, oh no, not another window handle replacing video, which there are many on the internet, we want to show you a couple of things that we came up against with one of these before, so we then developed a technique of avoiding the issue again. And we're also going to put a couple of screenshots of the different types of handle and why we think some are better than others and whose we use and why we use them. So before we start this part of the video, I would like to show you our setup. And what we like to do is when we come into a customer's house is we like to put a large rubber mat down. Now the idea of putting this rubber mat down, as you can see across here, is we put our tools on here so that we don't get any muck or dirt on the carpet, we don't get grease and oil on the carpet. We would then use this part here for putting all our spare parts, whether it's locks, door handles, window handles and so on. We put those there so that we avoid getting mucky marks on the carpet, we don't damage wood. I've been on places where they've had special tiles, so it saves them getting damaged or scratched. We also have a yellow mat that we use specifically for outside to avoid getting the toolboxes covered in oil and mud and grit and just absolutely filthy from working out, especially in this weather when it's absolutely chucking it down with rain. So without further ado, in our window box here, what we have, and is all specifically labelled, we have all the different lengths of spindle, which we're going to have a look at in a second. We have the little S-bags that's obviously used for in the frame where it locks into. But what we also have is we have cocktail sticks and long matchsticks. Now, we are going to get just, I think, one of these today. Let's get one of these. We have little pieces of wood that we've trimmed down. It's the end of a chopstick, so I've got a couple of these in this box as well. Now, there's a very specific reason why we've got these. I'm going to put that there because I know I'm going to use it. We've also got little spare covers, so when you change your windows, always keep your little spare covers because, of course, they can go on here. Pop it on here if it's the right size, and then it just makes it look a bit nicer. I've got a silver one, I've got a white one. Unfortunately, neither of them fit this, but we're replacing this handle. So this is my box, and we're going to show you why we have these in the box today. Now, the problem with this type of handle is you've got a small spindle going straight through here. And of course, you press a button, you have the handle, you pull it closed and it shuts. Now the trouble is, although I've got small hands, you're putting an entire fist of absolute strength with your fist and your arm and of course your shoulder, and you are putting all the pressure on, when you're shutting window, this part here. So all of this pulling forward with a lot of force is of course coming down to this small area here. So all of this pressure is pulling on that, and that is why this is wobbling, because you have a very small spindle that we will look at when we take this one out and we identify the right length for the new one. It is all going on one tiny little area here. So in my opinion, these are very bad designer handles. Now, we are an approved supplier of Ultian locks and associated hardware, and although we are looking at the Era handle today, which is what we're replacing because it is less expensive, it's very nice and simple, very similar design to the Ultian. We do supply the Ultian where appropriate and where people want them. This is the one we're using today because it's a bog standard one. We have these in white. We also have these in silver. So there we are, we have white and silver, obviously white today, but the Ultian, I'm going to put a photo in for you, do have a whole range of colours from white, silver, rose gold and so on. Now this is a better design because, as you can see, and we'll show you with the window closed and the window handle in place, is of course you're gripping it here, you're twisting it around, you're twisting that, so all of this is here. You haven't got this little sort of right angle bit here, which is nice and ergonomically designed, but then so is this for both hands. My issue with these is that it is the force that you're pulling on here, and the way that it's designed is just very poor. So without further ado, what I always do is I always do the bottom one first. And what I came across doing this before was a mechanism that somehow, and I don't know how it got detached, the mechanism of the locking part inside the window, which is about this big here, was somehow disconnected, and when I took off the handle, the whole mechanism dropped down, and it only dropped to about here, so I was able to recover it. But it shouldn't have dropped, and it did, and I was suddenly met with 2 holes here, a hole where the spindle was, and the lock mechanism in the actual handle itself had completely disappeared, which is an absolute nightmare. So what I now do is I put one of these, I don't know if it will fit the fat end, is I put one of these in here, because once I take this off, I'm going to actually put this in here in a minute, but once you take this off, this locking part before dropped down, and I had to find some way of wigging it out and getting it back. So what I do now is I make sure I put a cocktail stick or a matchstick or a piece of chopstick in the hole to make sure that I don't lose the locking mechanism again. Now, it is very unusual, and I've only ever had it once, but it is an important thing, especially if you're not expecting it, to make sure that you do it, because otherwise, when you take your handle off, and it's normally very, very simple to do, I'm actually going to swap it with a matchstick, because I'm going to swap it with a matchstick because that chopstick's stopping me getting it out. Okay. Now this is fairly simple, you see, because look, it doesn't look like it's dropping down, but as I say, this part inside here just straight down, and I couldn't get to it. I had to put wire in and get a magnet and get it out. So very fiddly. So this is why I do this. Now it's a simple trick, but it's a silly trick, but it does work, because if this drops, it's game over. So it's very, very annoying. So there we are. Right, now let's go and identify. So this is a new handle. So we're going to look at the new spindle size. So there we are, we've got the perfect spindle. Now what I like about these is, obviously you've got this little, that'll get forced in there, but it comes with a little gauge, so when you put it in, it's there. And of course, when you screw it on, it will be forced in, hopefully, so it sort of slides in and gets pushed in here further. Now, what we might look at later is taking this apart, seeing if we can rescue the spindle. But as I say, that now gets chucked on the rubber mat, and the rubber, it won't mark the carpet. And you'll notice as well, I'm using hand tools. So I'm doing that for this video, simply because I don't want to make too much noise so that you can't hear me talking, giving you commentary in the background. What's that angle? There we are. Okay, let's just try to smooth this off. There we are. Right, there we are. Okay. Oh. Okay, that's fine. Let's do that in a minute. Right. Shut you. Okay. Oh, come on. Yes. Okay. Okay, that's better. So once you've got that secured there, it's easier to put these back in if the window is locked. Now I normally use hand tools most of the time anyway. Today I'm doing it obviously because of noise, but I do it anyway because I find that electric tools often will put too much force on the lock if you're doing a lock. That screw too small, and I find half a turn can jam up a cylinder or jam up a lock, so I often use hand tools, and I know other people totally disagree, but that is the way I work, and that is the way I like it. Oh, sorry soldier. What is going on here today? Right. Oh, that's twice. Okay. Okay. I thought it'd be easier to show you with a short handle, but clearly not. So let's use a long handle. There we are, always using the correct tool for the job. I thought it would be easier to show you with a short handle. Right. Now these you can do nice and tight, but locks have to be gentle. Okay, so as you can see, window open, gently, window closed. I can actually hear, that's fine. See, that is nice and solid. And you can actually hear it is quieter having replaced the handle. I wasn't expecting that. So as you can see, nice and secure. And it's quiet. Let's put it back. Right, so that is done. So I used a matchstick in this case because the chopstick was too wide on this particular handle, but that is why, because it avoids losing your mechanism. So when you've changed your window, always strip down your window handles and locks to save the spare parts, because this one didn't come with the handle. It came with a different one, so you can see it's slightly off-white, but there you go. It's done, it's finished, it's solid, it's nice and quiet. It's a long handle. We're going to change that once they match, and because I had this from somewhere else, you can put that over there, and that's the job done. So that's it for today. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'll put a couple of screenshots in for you of the other handles we do, but just to swing round here once more, this is how I've ended up, and as you can see, here we are. I've put the handle. I put the handle over here. I put the boxes obviously over here and stuff. So this way you keep it off their carpet. You don't make greasy oily marks, and you protect the rest of the flooring, whether it's wood or tiles or whatever. And as you can see here, of course, I have got a range of different handles, as this is my box dedicated to everything to do with window handles. So you've got silver and white here. We don't have other colours at the moment. And as I say, this is all your spare parts that go in here. So one box, that's it, dedicated to window handles. So when we come to a job, all we need is the window handle box, and we have everything we need. And that's it. Hope you've enjoyed the video, hope it's interesting. And as always, please do drop comments and queries below. And always remember, strip down whatever you've taken out. You can always use the spare parts, keeping it in different boxes, because you never know when part will become useful in another job, and you can save the customer money, you can save yourself money, and you can save yourself the hassle if you've got the spare parts. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.